Good morning. Welcome to my word for the day. I'm Lee Watson. I'm an entrepreneur, a small business advisor, an adventurer, a guy who likes really good words and thoughts and ideas. And I'm bringing an idea to you today that came to me this morning. It was this morning when I was getting ready to come here to do this show, and it just kind of jumped in my head, and I hope you enjoy it. So ordinarily, I take a word from my deck of virtues cards from the Virtues Project, and I'm so thankful to them for what it is that they do to spread virtues around the world to children and families and businesses and organizations, nonprofits, governments, everybody. And the idea there is take these good words, love, peace, joy, cooperation, excellence, all these good words, and incorporate them into people's lives. What a great thing to do. So, as you probably know, I am a business advisor. That is what I do here with Business Beyond Numbers, and I'm thankful for that. And one of the things that I do for small businesses is I teach them about stretching comfort zones. And that's kind of what I'm talking about today. Baby steps or big leaps. Either way, there's a right place for either one. I don't know if you saw the movie What About Bob? Bob had trouble with his comfort zone. He was afraid of everything. And do you know people who seem to be really kind of timid and shy, and it's very difficult for them to have new adventures, to experience things that they haven't experienced before. And that's kind of what we're talking about when we talk about comfort zones. And one of the most interesting things about comfort zones to me is that once you've stretched it a little bit, it never goes back to where it was. It stays stretched, which is a really cool thing, because then you can find other adventures that you really resonate with that don't seem so far-fetched anymore. For example, I remember when I was my early 20s, I think, and I had never taken a big sailboat out alone. And one day I did. And from that day forward, I remember backing out of the slip and getting the boat out into open water. And it was really, really a stretch for me. I had never done that before. But what I found was it was also really fun. And eventually I became a licensed captain and took lots of people out for sailing adventures all over the place, mostly on Lake Michigan, but sometimes out on the oceans. And I really, that's one of the things that I do. And it all started with gathering the courage to take that boat out by myself in my 20s. So anyway, that's just one example. The idea here is sometimes you do need to take baby steps, and sometimes maybe what seems like a big leap to you is the best thing that you could do. And it requires some trust and faith and hope that things will work out well. The first time you go on a zip line or something, or the first time you go scuba diving, all these things can be big steps, and not without the opportunity to do it in baby steps. Sometimes you just got to go for it because there's no other option. You can't baby step your way on a zip line. Now, there are some adventures that are outside of my comfort zone. The thought of getting on a spaceship and flying to the moon is kind of interesting and attractive to me, but I don't think I could get the courage to do that. The problem for me is the downside there is death. Of course, that's true in other circumstances as well, but that one has some. I mean, the upside is huge too. Seeing the Earth from outside of the Earth's orbit. I mean, I've seen pictures, and it looks really awesome to see that little blue planet. But I don't know if I could strap myself into that. And there are some big adventures that just don't appeal to me, like climbing Mount Everest. It's cold. You got to take oxygen with you, and um, just it just doesn't appeal to me. I see mountain climbing generally, even rock climbing um, in extremes, just doesn't appeal to me, and that's okay. If there's an adventure that doesn't appeal to you, cool, no problem. But I think it is good for humans to find something that stretches them a little bit. And if you need help with that, I take people out on little adventures, like going sailing. I've had people on my sailboat who have never sailed, and some who have never even been on a boat before. And it's a safe adventure. I love doing it, and that's something that's open to you. So I want to remind you that yes, I am a business advisor, and I do have a real estate company and other things. If you want to talk about anything, go here. Go to businessbeyondnumbers.com/contact. And in there, you'll find that you can choose a time, a 15-minute time slot, to have a phone call with me. And we can talk about anything you want. In fact, if you want to stretch your comfort zone and have an adventure, I can probably give you some good ideas about that, because my life has been, it has included many really cool adventures. And these are not dangerous things necessarily. These are things that turn out to be really fun and without great risk to health and safety. So something to consider. Now, if you have a small business and you want to stretch your comfort zone about growing that business or doing some things that you didn't know you could do that might really change your life, I'm happy to talk about that too. So go to businessbeyondnumbers.com/contact, pick a time and a day and that's available to me, and I will be happy to talk to you about whatever you want to talk about. So, okay. While we're here, in addition to thanking the Virtues Project for all that they do, I want to thank all of our sponsors who have done things or supported us in different ways. And I do really appreciate every one of them. In addition, I want to say that I appreciate every person who watches this, whether it's live or the replay. I mean, it's 9:00 in the morning, so Central Time. So most people watch the replay, and that's awesome. So what's cool to me about what it is that you can do as someone who's experiencing my word for the day, send me the little thumbs up, the little hearts, the shares, the comments. Leave me a comment, good or bad. Either way, I would love to know what you're thinking about some of the topics that I talk about. I mean, today it's about adventure. It's about baby steps or a big leap. But if you, and by the way, I will put this in the comments after the show because for some reason it tends to not show up. I'll send you a link to my YouTube channel where you can see you can see 105, I think, shows that I've done. And each of them has a different word and a different topic, a different focus. And you can just quickly scroll through the whole list and pick something that strikes your fancy and hear a little 10-minute show about it. Pretty simple to do. So, and if you have ideas about new shows, awesome. Okay, so I want to thank everyone, as I do always, and remind you to do something nice for somebody else today, and do something really nice for a whole bunch of people if you have the opportunity and the resources to do that. I know some of you do, and I thank you for that. That's a good thing to do. We are all in this world together. While we don't live in, I don't live in a war zone. Maybe you do. I don't live in an area where we have dramatic climate events right now. I'm in the Chicago area, and here we have seasons, distinct seasons. But what we don't seem to have very often is really dramatic weather events. I mean, occasionally we'll have a tornado or something. And in the wintertime, we sometimes get a lot of snow, but we don't seem to have earthquakes and wildfires and droughts. We have Lake Michigan, and we take it for granted because we just don't run out of water. I remember when I was 17 and I moved out of the house. I moved to Colorado just in time for a drought. I had never experienced a drought before, but I mean, you couldn't water your lawn or wash your car, and you couldn't, when you went to a restaurant, you could ask for water, but you didn't get water unless you asked for it. I mean, things I had never experienced before. And people who grow up in the Midwest, or certainly anywhere near one of the Great Lakes, you probably have never experienced a drought. It's a strange thing. Okay, so let's be the light in our little worlds. We know that the world is often a very dark place, but we can be part of the solution by spreading peace and love and joy and hope and God. If any of you have not seen the Jesus Revolution, I think that's the name of it, movie, with Kelsey Grammer, my wife and I saw it over the weekend. And while there were some parts of it that I was a little uncomfortable with, this was not a documentary, but a movie about the Jesus movement that happened in 1969 to about 1972. And I was 11 years old at the time. And so I wasn't aware of it, but it was the time for hippies and drugs and all kinds of things. And wow, it's enlightening. So if you get a chance, you might want to check that out. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you so much for being you. And I'm happy to talk to you. Just, where is it? Check this out, businessbeyondnumbers.com/contact. Schedule a call. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.